Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the backstory. If you are new here, kindly hit the subscribe button and the notification bell down below so that you can be notified whenever we post a new video. Now ladies and gentlemen, as we head into 2027 general election, President William Ruto has realized that if DCP party, that is Rigathi Gachagua's party, become very popular in Mount Kenya region, then he's going to have a very hard time. And he has hatched a plot to scatter the influence of DCP and Rigathi Gachagua within the Mount Kenya region. And I think Rigathi Gachagua and his handlers have also realized that President William Ruto and his handlers are working day and night to scatter their influence in the Mount Kenya region. Why am I saying so? Just recently, Rigathi Gachagua was campaigning in Murang'a County. And he made a statement that has made me thinking that why did Rigathi Gachagua talk about Ndindi Nyoro and Alice Wahome that way? Let's watch that video.
Hata hapa Murang'a amemwambia vijana wengine hapa watengeneza kahuirubaro, watu wajifiche hapo, wanajifanya hawataki Kasongo, lakini ni watu ya Kasongo na ni huirubaro ya Kasongo. Mtakubali watu ya Murang'a? Mama wetu Alice Wahome anatumiwa na Kasongo vibaya. Si mnajua? Huyu mama amehangaika, mimi nakwambia. Nikiwa pale deputy president, aliwekewa PS Mukaleji. Ruto haongei na yeye, anaongea na huyo PS. Sasa alikuwa anakuja kwangu, anasikia Ruto na PS wamepanga mkutano, yeye hana habari. Sasa Alice wetu amekaa tu pale, hana kitu anafanya, hawesaidia mtu, anahangaishwa, ananyamaza tu. Na kwa sababu ni mama yetu mzee, nikamwambia vumilia tu hapo ukule mshahara kwa sababu ya watoto. Si ndio? Si ndio? Alice avumilia, sivumilie? Avumilie tu kwa sababu alisaidia huyu mtu, lakini mtu amehangaisha Alice. Alice hana sauti. Iko PS anaitwa Nixon Koril ndio mwenye kusema pale. Siku alikuwa ministry ya maji, Kasongo alikuwa amemwandikia mtu anaitwa Rondo, ndio alikuwa anatawala huyu mama wetu. Alice Wahome, mama wa heshima, ametumika vibaya vile mimi nilitumika vibaya, na vile ametumia sisi yote vibaya. Nimokora kati mokora.
Now ladies and gentlemen, if you listen to Rigathi Gachagua Kinley is talking about Ndindi Nyoro being used by President William Ruto to discampaign him within Murang'a County. And why Ndindi Nyoro? Rigathi Gachagua, I think he also has intel that President William Ruto is working day and night. And if you listen to that video, he says that Ndindi Nyoro and his close friends are working for President William Ruto. Then in the same rally, Rigathi Gachagua talked about Alice Wahome, who is the Lands Cabinet Secretary, the way he's being frustrated by President William Ruto's handlers within the ministry, the way she's reporting to her peers and all that. But just yesterday, Alice Wahome came out and refuted all these claims and attacked Rigathi Gachagua.
Tuendelee na barabara, tuendelee na soko. Wangapi wanasema tuendelee na hiyo? Mimi niko kwa serikali, awafoma deputy president. Na mimi ni mtu mungwana. Mmesikia siasa nyingi sana, kweli ama si kweli? Mimi sijagusa deputy president tangu atoke kwa serikali. Nataka nimuulize, jameni, watoto wangu wamemalisha shule, kweli ama si kweli? Niende na waboi yewera, dena nyawera, nenda gitari, dena wankesi, ni wakiri, Nina George ni wakili. Mimi sina mtoto. Ati niko kwa serikali kwa kazi kwa sababu ya nilishe watoto. Asio leo na mama kiko hemamu wao ilio. Orosi arokete na haha. Watu wetu jameni. Hiyo si mtu ambaye ana support mwingine. Huyo ni mtu ataka kuniangusha kwa kazi yangu. Hakuwa na anakuja kusemea hiyo mambo nyumbani na niene dare gana nake completely. Hakuende kabisa. Yes. Unajua hii siasa ya kuingilia viongozi wengine sio ya ungwana na sio sawa. Tafuta kazi kwa raia, tafuta kura na mbinu zako za kusema yale utafanya. Mbona ukuje nyumbani kusema ninakulilia? Unataka nifutwe kazi ndio wewe uone mtu wa kufanya kazi na wewe. Osio tio hara mwega.
So I want us to look at these happenings. Why Murang'a County? Why Ndindi Nyoro and why Alice Wahome? So in all this, from my analysis, I'm able to tell that President William Ruto has changed tact. He knows that if he goes to the ground, that is in Mount Kenya on his own, he will lose more votes than he is going to gain. And that is why he has deployed the likes of Alice Wahome to go out there and campaign and reach out to the people of Mount Kenya on their own. Because all these people, the likes of Alice Wahome, Ndindi Nyoro, if it's true that Ndindi Nyoro is working for President William Ruto, they have political connections within within their various constituencies and counties. And it's very easy for them to talk to the electorates and convince them on their own, unlike if President William Ruto goes to Mount Kenya on his own to campaign. The other factor that President William Ruto handlers are working on is the fact that Gachagua is working on optics, whereby he mobilizes the electorates to come out in large numbers to receive him, so as to portray himself as the kingpin, to tell people out there that he has the numbers. But if you look at what happened yesterday during Alice Wahome's campaign tour within Murang'a County, there was a lot of mobilization that happened, and the turnout was huge. It shows you that President William Ruto's handlers are trying to counter everything that Gachagua is trying to do within Mount Kenya region. And it's like they have segmented Mount Kenya region into different sections, whereby they are going to try and water down Rigath's influence by having different kingpins within different regions. So take for example Murang'a County. Murang'a County might have Ndindi Nyoro and Alice Wahome trying to wrestle Rigathi Gachagua's influence within that region. Then if you come to Kiambu County, we might have Kimani Ichung'wah and other political players who are close to President William Ruto going to that region to wrestle Rigathi Gachagua's influence within that region. Another area that has also been segmented is Meru, Embu, Tharaka Nithi region. If you look at what happened during the nominations for those who are going to vie for the upcoming parliamentary seat in Mbeere South, UDA managed to convince the parliamentary aspirant who was going to vie on a DCP ticket to cross over and vie on a UDA ticket. Why? Because they're trying to water down the influence of DCP in those areas. And then DCP also made a mistake of allowing their aspirants to step down in favor of DP. And by accepting to support DP, in a way, Rigathi Gachagua's party is, okay, somehow they were trying to justify by saying that they're doing this under the pretext of a united opposition. But in politics, such a move has a negative connotation, because had Rigathi Gachagua fielded a candidate in the upcoming by-election and won, that would have sent a very, very big signal, or a serious signal, that DCP is one serious party to look at heading into 2027 general election. But the fact that they decided to support DP, and if DP wins, then that area will now be known as an area that DP has influence, and DCP going forward might not have so much influence in that area. But in case UDA wins, then that waters down the influence of the united opposition within that area of Tharaka Nithi. Then there are other political players within central Kenya, the likes of Cecily Mbarire, who is the UDA chairperson. We have the deputy president, Kithure Kindiki. We cannot write him off right now, because, you know, when someone is in power, he has the political might and the political power to influence decisions within a region. So the Mount Kenya region, from my analysis, is going to be segmented in such a way that different political players will have influence in different political regions. Like Kithure Kindiki will have influence in Meru and Embu counties. Someone like Alice Wahome will have influence. Alice Wahome and Ndindi Nyoro will have influence in Murang'a County. Kiambu County as well will have political players who will play a very big role. Then Rigathi Gachagua might be now, according to the plan that I'm seeing here, he might now be left to have influence in Nyeri County. Because if he was going to only fight with President William Ruto alone, that would have been a very, very easy ride for him. But now that this area has been segmented, and all these guys would want to have influence in their regions, then there is the other region which I had not even thought about, the area of Nanyuki and all that. We have other political players who would want to call shots within those areas. So it is upon Rigathi Gachagua and his handlers now to look at ways in which they can fight off all these schemes. Because at the end of it, if he doesn't craft a way of fighting off all these schemes, then he might be reduced to having influence only within Nyeri County. But I know he might pick some 1, 2, 3, 4 MCAs, members of parliament within these regions. And this is going to make him have a lot of influence. But you want to ask yourself, why is President William Ruto and his handlers trying so much to reduce Rigathi Gachagua's influence to Nyeri County? Because one, Rigathi has realized that he might not be able to vie for the presidency in 2027, but what he's looking at is having influence in the next government. And how will he have influence in the next government? One, by making sure that his party gets members of parliament, a very good number of members of parliament within central Kenya, and MCAs, said that he'll be able to call shots. He'll be able to use these numbers now to bargain with whoever makes it as the next president in the next general election. If it is President William Ruto, then he can approach him and find a way of working with him. If it's a member of the united opposition, then it means that Rigathi Gachagua then will have influence in that government. And this is what President William Ruto and his handlers are trying to fight, so that they can water down, one, the number of members of parliament that is DCP will get, and the number of MCAs that he will get, so that getting into the next government, he might not have influence. Because if you have influence in the next government, then it means automatically going into 2032, if President William Ruto wins the next general election, then most definitely Rigathi Gachagua would want President William Ruto to support him in 2032. And that is what these other guys are not comfortable with, because they are also ambitious. There are people within that political circle who are also ambitious and would want President William Ruto to support them in 2032. And that is why they have to dim the lights of Rigathi Gachagua right now. So ladies and gentlemen, from my analysis, there is a scheme that has been hatched to water down the influence of DCP within Mount Kenya region. And then President William Ruto as well is changing tact. He's not reaching out to the electorates of Mount Kenya on his own, but is using proxies and friends to reach out so that he can regain the confidence that he had prior to 2022 general election. So ladies and gentlemen, that is our analysis for today. If you're new here, kindly hit the subscribe button and the notification bell down below so that you can be notified whenever we post a new video. Until next time, bye-bye.